Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Richawd back with another video. Just got off of work, man. About to go in this grocery store and get me some stuff to cook for the night. I got some taste for some beef Alfredo and some oatmeal raisin cookies. I don't know about y'all, bro, but I love oatmeal raisin cookies, bro. Like, no cap, bro. But yeah, let's get into the video though. I don't want to ramble off too much in this one. Want to just get straight to the point. Now, I understand in my last video, I was talking about, a lot of things in that video. It was a real deep video. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Just understand this, I'm giving you a choice. You've been warned. Don't say I didn't warn you. Just like Morpheus was telling Neo in the Matrix, you can take the blue pill. I'm offering you the blue pill. You can go watch some other channel. That's the blue pill. But as long as you over here, man, it's the straight red pill over here. It's reality, And if you can't handle that, if you don't think you can handle that, if you're not mentally in a space where you can deal with heavy topics, maybe you should take that blue pill. Don't, no hard feelings. I won't be upset. This isn't for everybody. I'll tell you that now. It's not for everybody. You have to be chosen to get into this knowledge that I'm spreading. You have to be chosen to be anointed with this knowledge, bro, because a lot of people don't get this knowledge, bro. And the fact that you can receive it, and I'm still learning. I'm not saying I'm some master, but I do have things that I can teach y'all. I do have things that I know about the world and about, history and about the Bible that I can teach y'all as I'm growing and as I'm learning, And I feel like it's my job to be a messenger and to put these messages out there to help as many people as I can. I know I won't be able to save everybody. I'm not here to be no messiah or no savior. It's not my job. My job is just to be a messenger and try to guide people in the right direction. You understand? So when you hear these messages that I'm giving y'all, just understand it's coming from a place of someone wanting to help people. I speak so heavily on my people, black people, the black woman, the black man, people in general, but really my people, because, it is an agenda to fully conquer us and fully get rid of us, bro. I don't want to get too deep into that in this video. I already touched on that in the last video. Like I said, tune in to that, man. It's a lot of messages in there. I'll leave it at that. You got to tune in to see. If you know, you know. But what I wanted to get into today, and I appreciate everybody who's been commenting. I know I haven't responded to all of the comments yet. I get to as many as I can. When I get home, I'm going to go through and try to reply to or try to just engage or reply to as many comments as I can. Somebody emailed me and said that it was a comment that they put on my last video that they wanted me to respond to. So I'm going to go through and look and see what's going on. I know that video definitely had to have stirred the pot. And that's really what I'm trying to do right now, because the pot needs to be stirred. People need to start thinking, and people need to start realizing the battle that we're up against. A lot of people don't understand what's going on. And I'm just trying to help people understand. You understand? So what we're talking about today in this video is black people aren't very liked. Now, this is common knowledge. It was drilled in your head, during school, that we were slaves, and that's pretty much all we've been taught we were. All we've been taught is we've been oppressed and we've been held back. Right? And during slavery, it was brutal. And you got to understand, we're in a slave mentality, right? Get this. The white man is no longer oppressing us to the degree where he can stop us, right? During slavery, he was oppressing us to the degree where he was able to stop us. But it's only because we allowed it. The same way we're allowing it now. Listen to me, I know this is a sensitive topic, but pull up a seat, get comfortable and listen. See, what they would do during slavery to control the slaves is they would get informants within the slaves, right? Typically, it'll be a house Negro. But a lot of times they will also get a field Negro to be the informant, because you need somebody around the, around the people in the field. And these informants, these agents, their job is to notify the master of people that can see, people that may be trying to rebel. This was the white man's way to keep the black people under a mental bondage. In my last video, I touched on how the so-called white man, so-called Esau, conquered, black people and the Mexicans and the Indians, the Israelites, through brutal force, plagues, and manipulation. This is how they manipulate you. They play mind games. It's been a huge mind game, a huge spell that has been put on the black people, the people in general. Well, I'm targeting the black people in this video. I'm targeting black people in this video. It's a mental spell that we're under, right? And it all goes back to slavery. Hear me clearly. So they would use these agents, and these agents would be like, master, Joseph is out there talking about a rebellion, and he got all the other slaves trying to rebel, and this, that, and the third, and you need to go do something to Joseph, because I don't know, man. Joseph, he got some spirit about him. I don't know. He got a whole army behind him. This may be trouble. Master, you may want to go check it out. All right, thank you for the information. Tell Joseph to come meet with me. Well, however they would do it, but what would end up happening? He actually would even call Joseph into the room, but what would end up happening? The master will call up a meeting, and all the slaves will have to meet, and they will call out Joseph, and they will bring Joseph, and they will bring out a rope, and they will hang Joseph from a tree. And that is what I mean by brutal force. See, this was a tactic used to show all the other slaves, look at your leader. The same way they took out Malcolm X, the same way they took out Martin Luther King. Look at your leader. Look what we did to him. If you want to follow that man, we'll do that to you too. And this tactic is what kept the slaves in line. This tactic is what kept slavery going for so long, because when you would get a rebellious slave, they would make an example out of them and put the other slaves in fear. They ruled by fear. But think about this. Here's why I say slavery was a choice. Because the type of nigga I am, if I'm on a plantation and I'm being forced to be slaved, and I see that my fellow brethren that was trying to lead a rebellion and fight against this injustice was just taken out unjustly, I'm ready to fight. You got to take me too. You understand? You got to take me too. It should have been a rebellion. When old master would make examples out of people, the slaves should have instantly rebelled, bruh. You can't have slavery if you unalive all the slaves, right? The slaves didn't realize their value. You have value. The slaves were taught they have no value. You're just a slave. See, that's mental programming, and that's the same programming we're under today. People don't think they have value. People don't think they can influence things when they can. The slaves didn't think they could influence things, but they could. But they would have really had to be some martyrs. Not everybody has that spirit. I understand. Not everybody's willing to die for certain things. Most people are cowards. That's why slavery went on for so long. Most people were cowards. I ain't trying to die. You better listen to what Master telling us. You see what they did to him? He'll do that to us too. We better listen to what Master's telling us. Better obey old Master. I ain't trying to die. I'd rather die than be slaving on some plantation unjustly. I would have been one of the slaves they hung, bro. I'll tell you that right now. Right? And what should have happened, a rebellion should have broke out. A rebellion should have broke out. The people, the slaves, should have rebelled. But that didn't happen. There was no rebellion. We just went along and got along. And that's still going on today. What did I say? Malcolm X. Who took out Malcolm X? Was it a white man? For all the people saying the white man is oppressing us, this, that, and the third. I'm not saying they're not still doing things to hold us back. But I'm saying the real oppressors are the gatekeepers. Who are the gatekeepers? Black people. It be your own people. It be your own family. It be your own friends that look just like you, hating on you the most. It was our own people that took out our leaders, not the white man. Not the white man. Anything that was done by the so-called black man that reached the level of significance and he had a level of influence and people behind him, right? Let's use the narcotic scene, right? Back in the day, say you had a drug lord, someone bringing in a lot of money and they have a team and an operation, right? It wasn't a white man that took down our people or this drug lord more times than not. It will be somebody within his organization, a jealous, hating ass nigga that maybe felt like they should have been at the top, or they not getting a big enough cut, they not making enough money. See, when you're programmed with the victimized mentality that a lot of black people have been programmed with, it's hard for you to see another person of your race that you feel has been oppressed, that you feel so victimized. It's hard to see somebody else thrive. You want that to be you. You can't see other people shine. You don't have that security. That security was taken away from our people during these times, during slavery, when this slave mentality was forced upon us. And we have to break that mentality. See, it's a mental slavery that we're in now. It's the gatekeepers that have sold out, just like the slaves sold out his own people and told old master so he can sleep in the house with old master, so he can sleep in a comfortable bed, right? It's the people that, took a deal with the devil, basically. And is basically a gatekeeper and an enabler, and is policing the bad behavior that is done amongst black people. The main people that hate on a so-called black man who has his head on straight and has knowledge is so-called black people. It's our own people, bruh. Damn, that been on my nose the whole video. My bad. It's our own people, though, that have been weaponized, is the word I'm looking for. Our people have been weaponized to keep us at a low state. Not white people. It's not white people oppressing us. It's the niggas in the hood when you go into the hood and it's trash everywhere. See, that's called self-hatred. Our people hate ourselves. You hate to see another nigga shine. That's why you hate to see another nigga shine, because you hate you. The biggest racist in the world? Not the white man. The black man. And he's racist amongst his own kind. Not just the black man, the black race, black woman, black man, whatever. Like I said, this isn't a channel targeting any demographic. This isn't about, I'm not getting into the gender war and all. It's not about that. The politic war is not about that. It's about the truth, right? It's about exposing the truth and what needs to be heard. And what needs to be heard is our people hate ourselves, right? Because we don't know our history. We don't know we are a royal bloodline. We don't move like that. See, the problem is we have no control over our household. That's where our power is. We have no control over our seed. Our men have no control over their seed. You know what the problem is? See, when you hate yourself, you don't value your bloodline. When you don't know your history, you don't value your bloodline. You don't know your bloodline is royal. You come from royalty. Your seed is precious, my brothers. See, we've been hypersexualized and taught that, it's cool to be out here being player and just sleeping around. And now we got all these babies popping up in these broken families, bro. That is the issue, because their agenda is to program the future. right? To program your kids. You know how they say the kids are the future? That's who they're banking on. But they have to make sure these kids are coming from fractured, divided households. I speak on how, the woman shouldn't be working at a job, and some people may feel some type of way about it. But you want to know something? You know why things are so inflated right now? You know why they say back in the day, back in the 50s and 60s, oh, you can just get you a little factory job and you can have a white picket fence and take care of your family and you do okay. You know why you can't do that no more? Because the woman was added into the workforce. What happens when you added the woman into the workforce? Now you have to pay the woman. Now the woman has to take a chunk away from what the men were making. Right? That's what happens when you take the woman out of her proper role. Right? Now the woman no longer wants to be loyal to her husband anymore. This is what I'm saying. Like feminism and all that, liberalism took the woman away from being family oriented and made her more independent. That is an issue, and that is self-indulged. It's all type of liberal woman walking around here carrying pride about being independent when there's nothing great about being independent. It says in the Bible, man should not be alone. So I create the woman, right? He knows we shouldn't be alone. And if the man shouldn't be alone, of course, the woman shouldn't be alone. But we normalize independence and make it cool. This is the issue. And brothers out here don't value their seed. You don't value your royal seed. You have kids that you're not in contact with. You have kids that barely know how you look or don't know who you are. That is the issue. The families, the culture. What is culture? Culture is a certain moral and ethic code that you move by to keep your seed line thriving. That is culture. I would say that is the purpose of culture. To create a certain set of morals and standards to guarantee or to greater the likelihood of your bloodline being prosperous. That is the point of culture. So when you break culture, bloodlines can't prosper. Our culture has been broken, so our bloodlines aren't prospering. It's a lot of divided bloodlines. There's a lot of people don't know where they're from, don't know their history. See, you can get taught a fake history when you don't know your history. If you have culture, when you have culture, you teach your people their history. So if our people knew our history, if we really had culture, if we really knew about the Bible, if we really knew we was God's people, if we really knew about the chosen and the elect, if we really knew the truth, see, you need culture with that. But our culture is so broken, we can't stay together. We're so divided. We can't come together on anything because we hate each other. We hate ourselves. We were taught that, though. The white man taught you to hate yourself, but I can't say he's the main oppressor because you can teach me to hate myself, but I'm still not going to hate myself. Because I know you're just trying to teach me that to manipulate me and oppress me. We got to break through the spell. Like I said, we should be smarter than this. We should be stronger than this. But like I said, it's the gatekeepers. It's the people who have been compromised. It's the rappers that, it's the dudes out there wearing crop tops and wearing dresses for a check. It's the gangs. When gangs were first created, my dad always tells me, he's like, man, when I grew up, man, gangs, man, we weren't worried about gangs. Like, if anything, gangs were positive, right? He was like, man, niggas weren't getting shot when I came. And my dad is a street nigga. But he's like, man, when I was coming up, niggas weren't out shooting and all that, bro. Like, worst come to worst, they'll jump somebody and beat them real bad. But he was like, the gangs wouldn't be killing people like that. That wasn't the purpose of the gangs, to be violent. See, the gangs were first created to govern the neighborhood because it was so-called KKK members and this, that, and the third oppressing the black people. So we started to create these gangs to protect ourselves. See, the gangs were created positively with positive roots, but it got corrupted, just like the church got corrupted. It got corrupted, man. But I'm going to go ahead and close the video out with this. We are our main oppressors. We allow them to corrupt us. You can't it says in the Bible, the devil would fool the most elect if he could. The most elect, we can't be fooled. We're supposed to see through this and come up with a plan, but you got to be able to come together. You have to have a culture. You have to have unity. We're lacking that right now. We don't know the truth. It's too much discord on the scripture. We can't come in agreement with what the scripture says and what the scripture means. It's a lot of issues we have, right? It's a lot of issues we have. And that is what is holding us back. And until we get these issues in order, we will continue to stay at the bottom, and we will continue to be oppressed, and we will continue to be a slave until we break this slave mentality and understand we have to start becoming, we have to build a mentality of a ruler, of a conqueror. Understand we were conquered, right? When the so-called white man was in rulership by the black man, he was our slave once. You know that? The so-called white man was our slave once. We need to take a page out of the white man's book. You know what the white man did? They rebelled. They said they would rather die than be a slave. And they rebelled and they overtook us. But they used to be our slaves, and we were brutal to them, right? We were brutal to them. It's records of this. It's history books of this, you know? A lot of people don't know about that, though. These books are hard to get. This information is hard to get. You just gotta be in the know, right? But we must conquer. You gotta understand what the white man is trying to do is conquer our race, right? It's conquer our race, conquer the world, right? That's why, like, if you read up on the ancient times, when the white man was conquering, after they would conquer a village or whatever, they would unalive all the men and rape, Jesus. Hopefully I can get this video out. Damn, you can't say that word on YouTube. The woman. You know why they did that? If you unalive all the men, now the seed line has died off. And if you the woman and impregnate them, now their seed line is now your seed line. Now you've conquered their woman, right? It's the same thing they're trying to do right now, right? That's why they're propping up the woman so much. It's to destroy the so-called man, right? Same tactics they've been using from back in the day, from the ancient times, from slavery on back. It's the same blueprint. And we must wake up to this. You know, so-called black people, we must realize that we've been taught to hate each other. We've been weaponized against each other. We don't stand with each other. We didn't stand with Kyrie Irving. We didn't stand with Colin Kaepernick. You know? We didn't stand with Adu Arul, the guy who played in the 90s and got blackballed because of his beliefs, his religious beliefs. We ain't stand with him. Right? We don't stand with the so-called blacks that make us stand. You know? We don't boycott, right? It should be at a point to where we're boycotting all the nonsense, bro. But like I said, it's gatekeepers that have been compromised. You don't want to give up your money. You've put your money over your people and over your values and over your God. You've sold out your people. You've turned your back on God for money, for riches. That's the issue. The gatekeepers that don't want us to rebel. They don't want the so-called black man to rebel. Your own people don't want you to rebel. Your own people gonna go run and tell old Martha, hey, they over there talking about rebellion. Same people be getting my videos flagged. I just had a recent video I ain't even do nothing like to fight it, but you know, allegedly they was reviewing the video and I guess it got passed. So that's a good thing. But you got people flagging my videos, flagging my channel or whatever. It be your own people mostly. I'm pretty sure it's mostly my own people. It be mostly my own people I be seeing in the comments hating if you post a profile pic. It'd be other races too, but for the most part, it'd be my own people, bro. It'd be your own people sitting around waiting and watching you fall instead of trying to help you and correct you. You know, and prevent you from falling. They'll sit around and watch you fall so they can sit around and say, I told you so. Told you wasn't going to make it. Told you that was too far of a leap, right? Instead of trying to help you make the leap, they're going to watch you fall. Right? That's the issue. The self-hatred amongst our people. The crabs in the barrel mentality amongst our people is the issue. And until we get that in order, we will always be a slave, because you can't conquer when you don't even want to conquer. You can't conquer when you're helping the conqueror conquer you. Isn't that crazy? Our people are helping our conquerors conquer us, and then sitting back and complaining about how we're being conquered, and wonder why we get no respect from people, the so-called black race. No respect. Because we don't respect ourselves. We don't stand together. We don't unify. We don't follow our God. But I'm going to leave it there, man. Let me go in here and get this food, give me something to eat and get ready to repeat it all over again tomorrow. Oh, no, I can't really talk right now for real. The words, whatever. But I'll get back with y'all later, man. Hey, one last thing. I just thought about this. I really just want to drive this point home. I talked about how, the woman being brought into the workforce was bad, bro. Understand this, bro. It's not about, the woman making money and being able to be independent. That's not the issue. The issue is when you take the woman out of her natural role of being, at home and raising the children. Now you can reprogram the children, because now the mother is always at work, right? This was a strategic way to destroy the family construct, especially of so-called blacks, but it is weeded out into the other nations as well, right? That has been the impact of empowering the woman. You know what I'm saying? Like this, and falsely empowering the woman, because a woman is empowered when she's in her motherly role. That's where it tells you in the Bible where she gets her blessings from, childbearing, being a nurturer. That is her gift. That is the woman's gift. That is the reason why God felt the need to create the woman, right? Because the man needed something to relieve him, right? Something to help him, So you just got to understand, when the man's help is taken away and now the woman is given the man's role, now they get rid of genders. Now they get rid of gender roles, and it's just, everybody just does the same thing. Now the woman loses respect for her man. See, back in the day, the reason why marriages were more together when the women weren't working like that is because, now the woman really valued her man, because she needed her man. She relied on her man to provide, right? That gives her a level of respect for him and a level of reliance on him, right? So like I said, it was a strategic plan to take that reliance away. But back to what I'm getting to. See, all the devil can do is tempt us. All these things that I'm explaining to you is how the devil has tempted us, right? Shame on the devil for tempting us. But you know who the real issue is? You know who the real oppressors are? Us, for going along with it. We know the news is feeding us lies, but still we allow the news and schooling and all these things to program us. Still we got women walking around hating men walking around hating women due to the media programming, right? This is the paradigm shift that we need to have mentally to break this bondage. We got to realize the weapons that have been used against us. We got to realize how we've been weaponized against ourselves, right? We got to realize that all this is going on because we're allowing it, and start to find ways to conquer, right? To redeem. That's the only way, right? That's the only way. And until we get into that type of mentality, as long as we stay in the mentality where we're trying to sit at the table with the white man and not have a table of our own, then we will always be a slave. We will always be in bondage, right? So I just really wanted to drive that point home. That's why the woman working is such a bad thing, because not only does it take her out of her biblical role, but now she's more in a role, she's more of in a role as a man. You know what I'm saying? Scientifically, she's in the role of a man, and now it creates mental illnesses, depression, anxiety, chemical imbalances. Right now, it creates poor eating habits when you can have a woman at home, nurturing the house, cooking fresh meals. Now they don't have time. Now most people eat fast food. Now most people are obese. There wasn't as many obese people back in the day. Why? Because you had a woman at home. You had grandma. You had grandma at home cooking, bro. Right? Grandma didn't have to work all day, so she could stay at home and cook and make sure everybody get their homework done and this, that, and the third while Papa out there working. That kept the families together, right? They realized that, so they was like, oh, we need to compromise the woman. She's too much of a help to her man, right? We need to cripple, the family structure by crippling the woman, by forcing her to work, basically, right? Or empowering her to work. It's all a strategic plan, but it's only working because we have gone along with it. But I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, man. I'm going to go cook up this food and get me some rest. That's just the message I want to get out, man. We are at the bottom. We are oppressed because we hate ourselves. We've been weaponized against each other, and our families have been destroyed. The only way we can reclaim any level of dominance and any level of rulership is by reclaiming our families. Men, you have to realize that your seed is a royal bloodline. We have to start moving orderly. Right? We're not moving orderly right now. That's why things are in chaos, right? So until we start moving orderly with our woman, right? And it can be women, I don't recommend it. The ones who had multiple wives and multiple concubines, those was the Most High's elect men. Only the elect men really should have multiple wives, right? But until we get our families in order, bro, and stop having all these kids out of wedlock, all these broken families, until we stop allowing the television and the internet to raise our kids, and we're not raising our kids. Our kids are spending more time at school than they're spending around their own peoples. That's the issue. That's how we get programmed. That's how we've been able to get programmed. Because mom and dad are out working while you're at home scrolling the web. All right. So we have to reclaim dominance over our families first. That's a cultural thing. That can cause a cultural shock. Now we can start making real power moves. Can't make any power moves right now because there's no culture, there's no unity. Peace and love.